Introduction. I used to have been involved in a lot of community organizations where I stood up and introduced people and had a lengthy biography to present, and thought, wow, what a turnaround that is. Is it really? It's nice. It's an honor to receive it. I have to ask myself if it's really the person. If I know that person she's talking about, but. It's nice to be with you. You know, last year was the first year we had this event, and I was asked to speak early. It was the first one up about 9 in the morning that day, or 8 in the morning, and I suggested to Lika Sridhar that we should probably start this event later in the day because it seems like the student schedule is different than the industry schedule. And so here we are, and I'm at 12 o'clock, and I'm still not seeing a lot of students out here. So I'm going to share with you things as though you're, you know, as I was going to share with students, and I guess at some level we all are students, and we're always learning, and we're always teaching, and so please understand the remarks aren't directly applicable to you. At the outset, I will say this is really a great program and a great resource that we have to this Johnson County Community College. And we've had it here for a number of years, but I will say in the last several that Dr. Lika Sridhar has taken over, it has been transformed. And I don't know if all of you are, or how many of you are aware of this, but she received this year from the Johnson County Community College this Distinguished Service Award for what she's done, and not only for industry, but for the students. And she's taking something, this horticulture program, that was lackluster and has breathed life into it. And I can say that having been acquainted with it for 20 years now. So for those of you who are students coming in, and for those of you who are already in this industry, I'll just say we are in a great industry. We're in a fantastic industry. It's the only one that I can think of where we really get to go out and sort of co-create with Mother Nature something that's really beautiful and endures for a long time. And so I think we're all fortunate, and I'm blessed to be able to participate in this experience. I want to thank you, Lika Sridhar, and Alan Stevens, and all the people that are pioneers in this Kansas horticulture industry, because I've traveled around the country and I've been in other states like Illinois, like Colorado, like Pennsylvania, where the industry is more evolved than it is in Kansas or than it is in Missouri. And it's more evolved because there were individuals like Alan Stevens and individuals like Lika Sridhar and industry leaders like Larry Ryan who decided that they wanted to make a difference in this industry and make something of it. And so we are in this process of evolving our industry in the state of Kansas, and I'm optimistic and have the vision that we will be there. We'll be as great an industry as what we know to be in some of these other states. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think employers want, and at the end, if there's time, I'll take some questions. I will say to become what employers want is a lifetime effort, and it's been a lifetime. I'm still trying to discover what my employer wants of me, and I've been doing it a long time. And I suspect, at least for the students that are here, they're asking the questions, what do I need to do to become more employable, more valuable, more productive, a bigger contributor, a better leader? I always think it was in 2005, I had asked Dick Vermeil, who was the former head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, to come and speak to a business organization that I was involved with. And he was going to speak on the subject of leadership. And this was his last year as a Chiefs coach in 2005. He's 69, almost 70 years old at the time. And he was talking on the subject of leadership, and he said that I read something on leadership every day. And I learned something new on leadership every day. And this is a man who had already won the Super Bowl, right? Had more accolades and awards, as many as a lot of the great coaches in NFL history. And this person is saying, at age 70, I'm studying and learning every day. And so my point is that we really are students of learning and growth every day of our lives if we're alert and aware to the lessons that are being taught. So I'm going to try to answer this question for you in two parts. The first part is going to be what I believe employers want. And the second part is what Dalton Hermes wants in employees. On the subject of what I believe employers want, are hard skills. When I talk about hard skills, it's all the things that are being taught in this horticulture program or horticulture programs around the country. It's turf sciences, it's plant pathology, it's irrigation, it's landscape design, it's seasonal color, it's plant propagation. It's all the coursework that's either being taught or being learned by students. If I can digress for just a quick minute, because I got to share this story with you. I've been reading, some writings of a friend that I've got in Dallas that's been talking to me a lot about education, and he's saying that teachers don't really teach. That teachers can only set the stage for students to learn, and it's when the teacher arrives, the inner teacher arrives, that we really begin to learn. And you can think back at a time, I can in a math class, for example, when I was being taught an algebra lesson, and I was working the problems over and over, and the teacher was giving me tests and giving me books and giving me problems to learn. But there was an aha moment for me when something clicked and I got it. And the aha moment wasn't the teacher. It was the inner teacher. It was the the teacher and the student within that said, this is an aha moment, I get it. And what the teachers in any classroom do is they set the stage for us to learn, but our teacher, has to show up in order for us to really learn. So I would just say in this area of hard skills, in the area of horticulture that you're learning, we want, and we all need our teacher to show up, have the aha moment when we really get this material that's being taught to us. And then the other part of it is to be able to take that knowledge and apply it. And one of the things, I guess, for me that's been fortunate and a blessing is that our company is 47 years. We're starting our 47th year, second generation. And I grew up in the business, and I started working there when I was 6 years old. And so there was not anything that happened in the field that I didn't do before I moved into the office when I finished college. And so it gave me a distinct advantage of being able to understand customer needs, employee needs, the challenges of what's actually happening out in the field, the behavior of the plants, behavior of the turf. So I would say for students, it's really wonderful to be able to have that field experience. It makes you infinitely more valuable to a company. So get the hard knowledge, get the experience. The other area that I believe employers are wanting, and possibly even more important, what I call the soft skills. And I'm going to elaborate on what some of those are. But I would say, I want to quote a business professor, arguably the greatest business thinker of the 20th century, was Peter Drucker. And Peter Drucker said, the purpose of business is to create customers. And he said, and there's two fundamental activities that need to happen if you're going to create customers. And one is innovation, and the second is marketing. So innovation and marketing is what creates customers, and that's really what we attempt to do in business. So the soft skills that go along with that are a great understanding of accounting, how to supervise people, which is human relations and human interaction, sales, and and I argue that we're always selling. We're always selling all of our life. And we're selling our boyfriends or our girlfriends, we're selling our children or our parents, we're selling our teachers, our students, we could be selling customers, we could be selling our subordinates, we're selling our supervisors, but we're always selling our ideas. Communication, there's a, and this is both verbal and written, but there's a great quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it in the movie My Fair Lady, when the statement is made that the first syllable that somebody utters, they are classified. People are classified by the way they speak. People are classified by the way they write. And so to develop this communication skills of writing and speaking, and we sit in our English classes or our speech classes and ask why and what for. And this is why and it's what for, because it comes home to roost in the business world. Unfortunately and unfortunately, we have a number of employees who write beautiful letters. You can trust them to communicate an intent or desire or need from our company to a customer or a vendor really well, and we have others that can't. And it really is a life skill to be able to write well and to speak well. Spanish in this industry, and it's not going to go away, I don't believe, in our lifetimes. The Mexicans, the Latino, the Hispanic culture have an awesome, amazing work ethic, and they're an agrarian culture. They understand plants, they understand cultivation, they understand agriculture intuitively, and they're great workers in our industry. And leadership skills, and becoming a student of leadership. And there are books and books and books and books of leadership. Some people argue you're born as a leader, and I don't believe everybody's born as a leader. I believe there are certain skills that people can master to become leaders, but it takes study to learn it, like any discipline we take on. It takes study to become good at it. Also, under the category of soft skills, I would put in a subcategory called personal qualities. And what are the personal qualities that we're looking for? A passion for profit, want to make money. A passion for the customer, want to take care of the customer and please the customer and create great customer experiences. A passion for growth, because no organization can sustain itself in steady state. You're either growing or shrinking, and shrinking is no fun. Been on both sides of it, but you can't maintain an organization in steady state. Brickman, who is the largest landscape maintenance contractor in the country, they have 3 of these personal qualities that they talk about, the 3 H's. It's hungry, humble, and honest is what Brickman looks for in their people. So hungry, meaning you got a great work ethic, you get to work on time and you produce. Humble, meaning you're willing to learn, receive instruction, not be defensive. And honest speaks more. It speaks to personal values, and I would say there's many personal values that are important to us beyond just honesty. It's important for all of us to sort out what those are. There's a quote by Abe Lincoln. Somebody asked him once, said, "What is your religion?" He said, "When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad." And that's how he described it. But in the subject of values, it's what you do that makes you feel good and what you do that makes you feel bad, and be able to have the inner voice to listen to that and act on it is what we look for. And then the other part is to do in an organization, to do more than you're asked. And when people have that, when an organization has that culture and an individual has that culture, opportunities abound. There's a great writer The personal favorite of mine, maybe some of you know him, Napoleon Hill, wrote this book, Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about, one of his tenets is to do more than asked. It's about creating opportunities in your life. And when he talks about riches, Think and Grow Rich, he identifies a dozen of them. And number 12 on the list is monetary rich. Health, friendships, happiness. It's a fabulous book about creating the life that we want to have, we want to live. Okay, so that's what I would say employers are looking for. What am I looking for? Dalton Hermes, in terms of people. I'm looking for people who are wanting to become the best human being that they can become. There's another speaker that I listen to. His name is Jim Rohn, and he recorded a CD. It's called The Art of Exceptional Living. But he says, you work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And you become the biggest and best and greatest person that you can be. And I don't think, that schools necessarily do a great job in teaching that. I think churches may attempt to do that. I think families attempt to do that. But in the end, it's up to us individually to become the best that we can be. And the question then is, to all of us, is what are we doing to be that person? I think that success in life is at this intersection between passion, what you fall in love with, and your vision for yourself. And where your vision and your passion intersect is where we find success, where it becomes really easy to be the best human being that we want to be. I believe it's important for us to maintain a sense of innocence, to maintain our creativity, to continue to be innovative. I know I'm throwing a lot of names out here, but these are just all the people that I've read and listened to that have been a big influence in my life. But there's a man that talks about revolutionizing education in America. His name is Sir Ken Robinson. He's got a couple different 20-minute TED videos out on creativity and what schools are doing to human ingenuity and human creativity. And he really believes that what's happening, and the way our school systems are set up, is that we're systematically breeding creativity out of ourselves. It's a great video. And he said that the secret in life is not to allow that to happen. And it's really hard to breed it back in once we've bred it out. But to be aware of that in a business environment, to contribute creativity and contribute innovation. And then the other part is to set goals for ourselves. And we've all heard the stories, and here's a recent one that I'll share with you. But the stories about the graduating class at Yale in 1954, and I'm going to tell you this one. It's the graduating 1979 Harvard MBA class. Was asked the question, have you set clear written goals for your future and made plans to accomplish them? It says only 3% of the graduates had written goals and plans. 13% had goals, but they were not in writing, and a whopping 84% had no specific goals at all. And 10 years later, they pulled that group of people together and studied them. And 10 years later, the 13% of the class who had goals were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who had no goals at all. And what about the 3% who had clear written goals? They were earning on average 10 times as much as the other 97% put together. The thing that's always been missing for me when we hear these statistics about setting goals, and the part that never gets talked about, is the use of those goals. Because we can write them down, and I've written them down, and you put them in a file, and you put them in diary, you put them in a journal, and a year later we pull them out, we look at them, we made them, and we didn't make them, and then we do it again. And what I found, and what I believe needs to happen in order to make goals real, make them come true, is they need to be reviewed every day. They need to be studied every day. They need to be on the nightstand every night, looked at every night before we turn out the light. And when we do that, the goal, so the 3% that had accomplished that, it wasn't that they had written goals down, is that they had written goals and studied them. They had written goals and studied them. So that's part of it. And how do we go about doing this? We adapt to change, and individually, we read. Leaders are readers. We set goals. We find a mentor, especially for the young people. I look back on it now, and I wish so much that 25 years ago I would have found somebody who would have been a mentor of mine and shortcutted a lot of the mistakes that I made along the way. To find a mentor means we have to make ourselves vulnerable, to listen to the things that we want to hear and listen to things that we don't want to hear. We need to learn to tell stories, tell great stories. We need to learn to jump in with both feet. And we need to learn to ask really, really great questions. And it's my belief that whoever asks the best questions wins. Because the answers are always easy by comparison. So let me give you an example. Somebody asked the question, how do I take a handheld device, make it intuitive, load 4,000 songs onto it, and be able to play it back with great clarity through headphones? Somebody asked that question. The question I have, that I'm wrestling with right now in my business, is how do I give customers an opportunity to experience nature beyond the scape, beyond the landscape, the greenscape, the hardscape, the colorscape? And I'm wrestling with that one right now. So I thought I'm going to close here, but I wanted to share with you just a few things that I feel like I've learned that might help some young people as you're starting and moving through your career. One is, what we think about, we become. Release the past and embrace the future. Spend 90% of your mind space on positive thoughts. So take all the negative stuff that we deal with in the course of a day, and don't let it occupy more than 10% of your mind space, of your thought time. Shrink it. Take control of the brain. Don't let the brain go there. Learn to take control of the brain. Find the easy path. There's no reward in taking the hard path. Make problems small. And discover who you really are by identifying what you love to do and what you don't love to do. And take an inventory, take a piece of paper. On one side is, this is what I love to do, and this is what I don't love to do. And find yourself doing, most often, the things that you love to do. And I'll close this by kind of paraphrasing a quote that I heard Steve Jobs say in his 2005 Stanford commencement address. And if you haven't heard it, it's 15 minutes. It's on YouTube, and it's great. If you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. But one of the things he said is that every morning I wake up and I look in the mirror And I ask myself if I'm happy doing what I'm going to do today. And he says, if the answer is no, for more than several days, I do something different. And I think I wasn't here for Larry Ryan's talk, but I understand that he talked about that some too, about finding your passion and following your passion, because it all becomes easy once we've done that. So for me, the question in the end has been, somebody asked me, not go through these self-reflections or reflections about the company I've led and what I've achieved or not achieved, and what's been meaningful to me in the last 25 years that I've run this company. And here's what it kind of has boiled down to me for me recently, is that if our company had not done the landscaping at the Wizard Stadium, or if we hadn't done one of the projects this campus when it was built, or we hadn't done the landscaping we'd done, we hadn't done the maintenance that we had done, we hadn't built the color displays that we had done, somebody would have done it. There would have been another company, landscape company, that would have done it. And so I thought, well, so what? Right? So what? So then what? What have you done? The place I arrived was that have I and to what level have I touched the people that I've been with, that I've worked with, the customers, the employees, the peers? Have I touched them in this career? Have I given humanity to them? Have I given them respect? Have I helped them learn? Have I helped them grow? Have I challenged them? And for me, when I look back on it, it's been much less about the landscape jobs that we've done, and I'm really proud of them. And I think we've probably got more of them, more of those in our cap than maybe any other landscape company in the city. We've done an awful lot of work around here. There's not a place, I can't drive more than a half mile in the city any direction and not see some place that we've been. And to see that, and to see these trees that were planted, 4 or 5 foot, that are, mature trees now, it's really gratifying. It's really wonderful to make Kansas City more beautiful. But in the end, that's not the part that's been satisfying for me. It's how I've touched the people. And so that's why when I ask the question, or I make the point about what I'm looking for, and are you becoming a better human being, I think in the end that's what's going to matter for most of us. So I'll stop there. Thank you for your time.